Vivek Ramaswamy. This guy is really growing on me. I know a lot of people say this guy's CIA, this guy's a psyop, this guy is a dark horse candidate, whatever they're saying about this guy. He is really growing on me. He completely destroyed the career of Nikki Haley within about 20 minutes on stage. I haven't seen someone destroy the presidential hopes of someone that quickly since Donald Trump. And you can see here, he's holding up this like notepad where he just wrote during the debate in large, bold letters, Nikki equals corrupt. And we're going to go through some of the highlights today. We're gonna play some of those clips for you. I mean, it was amazing. He talked about how J6 was an inside job. He talked about how the 2020 election was stolen. He talked about white replacement and how it's not like a crazy right-wing conspiracy theory. And this was very risky of him. A lot of people are saying this is very risky of him. He basically dared Nikki Haley to name 3 provinces in Ukraine. She couldn't do that. So we're going to go through some of these highlights today here. It was really good. I mean, this guy is so well-spoken. I mean, this guy is one of the most well-spoken people I've seen as a presidential candidate in a long time. He's very rabid. He's very aggressive, and he destroyed Nikki Haley. So we'll talk about that. In true Indian fashion, in typical Indian fashion, Vivek Ramaswamy brutally raped Nikki Haley on stage in front of everyone, and it was epic. And so we're gonna go through those highlights today. Before we do, I just want to thank this video's sponsor. This video has been kindly sponsored by Noble Gold. As you know, the economy is a disaster. Your money is sitting in the bank. Your cash is sitting in the bank. It's losing value every single second. That's why we partnered with a great company called Goldco, so that you can diversify your investments and savings before it's too late. Invest in a gold IRA. Invest in a silver IRA. Go to goldco.com/veracity and do this for me. Take this first step. Fill out these 4 questions. Get your free gold kit in the mail. Qualified callers are going to get up to $10,000 in free silver. Take that first step. It supports the show tremendously. And look into protecting your savings and protecting your money. All right, so we're going to get on to Vivek Ramaswamy here and some of the highlights from the debate. But first, I want to shit on Ben Shapiro here. I want to shit on Ben Shapiro for a moment, as we do on the show. I saw this tweet, and he quote tweeted this tweet from Palantir. And for those of you who have followed the show for a while, for those of you who read our website, you probably know what you need to know about Palantir. He quote tweeted them, and he said, "Love this." And I thought this was like a joke. I thought this was like sarcasm. But then I opened up the full tweet from Palantir, and I understand exactly why he's promoting this. So you see here, it says, "We at Palantir have been committed to defending the principles that make democratic rule possible since our founding 2 decades ago." If we expand this here, they say, "Our software embodies our values and commitments. These include high performance, efficiency, transparency, fairness, and a rejection of narrow thinking." Their software, including fear and skepticism of the other, and outright bigotry. We believe that these values must be backed up by our actions on the battlefield, intellectuals and otherwise, given the egregious levels of anti-Semitism in our society. Now you're starting to understand why he's promoting a CIA front organization whose only client up until 2008 was the CIA. Their company was funded by a CIA venture capital firm called In-Q-Tel. It's because of that line right there. Given the egregious levels of anti-Semitism in our society, especially at our most elite educational institutions, some of these organizations seem structurally incapable of taking any steps to reform themselves. Where was Palantir on all of the anti-white hatred being shoved down our throats throughout society for years, especially on college campuses? Where was Bill Ackman? Where were these people? Where were the congressional hearings that we're starting to see? Yeah, a congressional hearing calling out the universities for the anti-Semitism being spread on campus. So that's why he's promoting them. And let me just read a couple of things here. We have this article. This is up on our website, dailyveracity.com. We talk about Palantir here. Birthed by funding from In-Q-Tel, Palantir's only client up until 2008 was the CIA. Palantir, using its Gotham software, developed a program called Tiberius, which is run by the federal government and used to collect data from U.S. government agencies, pharmaceutical firms, and vaccine manufacturers. Their software that they built was basically the main software that helped to collect all of that health data from everyone during the whole COVID thing and the vaccine data. They actually helped create the COVID vaccines. Tiberius platforms were also involved in the clinical trials of the development of the current COVID-19 vaccines. Alex Karp, okay, the CEO of the company, and you also have Peter Thiel involved. Alex Karp once said that his fear of the far right is what propels his company. His fear of the far right is what propels his company. Now, here is Alex Karp in a video saying that how the Gotham software, which is the software we were just talking about, was also involved in stopping the far right in Europe. Take a look at this clip here.
Look, we built PG, which single-handedly stopped the rise of the far right in Europe. We built Foundry, which was used to distribute the COVID vaccine and saved millions of lives globally. We built what we call multi-constellation, and what's often called the digital kill chain. And they're category-defining products. So when you deliver these products to the market, just honestly, people say this isn't going to exist, this isn't valuable, but then it changes the market. And then the market is the Palantir market. Now, that doesn't mean everyone in the world is going to buy our product, but it means most of the sensible people in the world are going to buy from the category we defined.
So there you go. That's Alex Karp, who is this, by the way, he's a self-proclaimed Marxist. He has this like software that he uses at his company called CarpTube, where he talks to employees about like Marxism. And again, this reminds me of when Ben Shapiro was like retweeting the ADL and retweeting Jonathan Greenblatt, like liking his tweets after the Hamas attack on October 7th. It just goes to show you where the loyalty actually lies. But of course, to claim this is considered anti-Semitism. To point this out, this is considered anti-Semitism. That's why he promoted them. That's why he's promoting Palantir. Barry Weiss is another person who is retweeting Palantir's account, Palantir Daily. Let's just read a little bit more about this company. According to TechCrunch, Palantir also built the CDC's web app for monitoring the spread of COVID-19. According to the New York Times, Karp says a lot of the decisions he makes at Palantir are driven by his experiences as a Jew. He intuited from a young age that his background made him vulnerable, he said. You're a racially amorphous, far-left Jewish kid who's also dyslexic. Would you not come up with the idea that you're shit? If the far right came to power, he said, he would certainly be among its victims. Who's the first person who's going to get hung? You make a list, and I will show you who they get first. It's me. There's not a box I don't check. His fear, he said, propels a lot of the decisions for his company. Karp's Palantir went public following the initial onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course they did. Their only client up until 2008 was the CIA. They were funded by a CIA venture capital firm called In-Q-Tel. And then you look at all these other connections. There was this group called the COVID-19 Healthcare Coalition. And they describe themselves as a private-public partnership. And their member list includes hundreds of other private and public organizations, including the CIA's Palantir and Diagnostic Robotics, which is an Israeli-based firm contracted to create contact tracing software for COVID and an artificial intelligence platform that predicts patients' hospitalization risk. In mid-2020, Diagnostic Robotics teamed up with Startup Nation Central, an organization that seeks to compel the United States into becoming more dependent on technology developed by Israel. Starting to make a lot of sense now. Likely inspired by the book Startup Nation Central was funded mostly by Jewish American billionaire Paul Singer, and I think that he also wrote that book, right? Or maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know him from Project for a New American Century and so forth. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and then also point out where were all these people when we saw all of this anti-white hatred in college campuses? Where were all of these people at? This is another tweet that Ben Shapiro retweeted here. I decided to retract my application at Harvard University. For me, the indifference of these institutions' leaderships to racism and bigotry is a red line. Ben Shapiro, destroy DEI, Diversity and Equality Index. It is the rationale for the entire toxic intersectionality that has radically exacerbated anti-Semitism in the first place. You'll never see him write anti-whiteism or anti-white. Musk is right. Kill DEI to fight anti-Semitism. And then you've got Bill Ackman, this billionaire donor, Jewish American donor to universities, who writes this long post on Twitter. He also wrote this, according to the Daily Mail, this hard-hitting letter against the universities. And he talks about this congressional hearing. He says, The presidents of Harvard, MIT, and Penn were all asked the following questions under oath at today's congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. They had a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism at universities. Can you imagine a congressional hearing about the anti-white hatred in college in universities, on college campuses? Ben Shapiro, the Jew-hating universities. Have you ever seen him write the white-hating universities? Never. Have never seen him write that. Barry Weiss, if you watch today's hearings and are wondering what can be done, and she gives a link. NDEI. You know, I think we had that up already. But yeah, I mean, like this is a clip that we talked about on the show. This is a clip from my show from like 2015. You've got like Matt Walsh posting it. You've got Libs of TikTok posting it, and all these others posting this here. But you see all these different like articles. These go back all the way to like 2016, 2017 about what a lot of these university professors and a lot of these groups within these universities were saying about white people. And this was encouraged. This was encouraged. This was funded. This sort of rhetoric, this white privilege stuff, this whiteness stuff, this was funded by these same billionaire Jewish donors, largely, who were completely fine with it on these college campuses for years and years and years and years. And you have to ask yourself why. And we say this here: don't fall for this. Zionist elites realize that is the diversity that they shoved down the throat of the West that is turning against them. Now they're trying to befriend white people as allies again after seeing them as a threat they needed to replace. So this is, I think it's pretty apparent, and I think that we've said what we needed to say about this. But it's just, you see people like Barry Weiss and Gad Saad and Bill Ackman and Ben Shapiro. They're promoting CIA front organizations as well as other groups that hate conservatives, hate America, because they're speaking out about anti-Semitism. Like, if that doesn't answer the question as to where their loyalty actually lies, I don't know what does. Ben Shapiro has, he's got like a Bibi Netanyahu comes on his show, right? We've shown you the clip of Bibi Netanyahu giving a hero's welcome to a hated enemy of the U.S., Jonathan Pollard. We've shown you the clip. So again, and to point this out, I just want to make this very clear. To point this out, according to the State Department's definition of anti-Semitism, is anti-Semitic. So anyway, on to Vivek Ramaswamy, who is had an epic performance during the debates here. I'm going to play this for you guys. Take a look at this clip.
Preach this to the left, but it's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. We're talking about that trans issue. And Nikki Haley's campaign launch video sounded like a woke Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light ad talking about how she would kick in heels. At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna McDaniel after 5 failed years of leadership of this party and criticized Nikki for her corrupt foreign dealings as a military contractor, she said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy a bigger house. This is the problem. Using identity politics more effectively than Kamala Harris is a form of intellectual fraud. And it actually needs to end. There's our donor puppet masters wielding their puppet right up here tonight. This is how this game is played. The puppet masters put up their puppet, and I reject the use of identity politics in this party. It has been a cancer coming from the left, and I'm sick and tired of the double standards. The people of this country are too.
Yeah. So basically what he's saying here is like, you say that you reject identity politics or whatever, but then you're just like, you're all about like feminism. So that was such a great clip there. Such a great clip. We also have this one here, and this is from Bow-Tied Ranger. Shout out to him on Twitter. He says this was risky for Vivek. If Haley knew 3 provinces, he looks like a clown. But he took the calculated risk and got the payoff. High IQ move. He got 2.4 million views on this quote tweet from Cernovich. Matt Walsh saw the tweet, basically copy and pasted the exact tweet and made it his own. And Bow-Tied Ranger tweeted out, he's like, why don't you just like retweet the tweet? Matt Walsh always does. He's done this to me a few times as well. He just like totally rips the tweet and then tweets it out as his own. But anyway, that's besides the point. This is the moment where Vivek Ramaswamy asked her to name 3 provinces in Ukraine. Take a look.
I want to say one thing about the tie to Ukraine, if I may. So foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for. And there's her puppet masters right there, the donors right there that are playing her like the puppet masters.
I wonder who those puppet masters are, by the way. We're going to get to that in a moment. But it was a pretty risky move here. Let's see.
State for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want.
He said, well, he doesn't give her much time to respond, but then after.
Look at that.
So he sort of does it in a way where it's like, he does it right away. Look at that. She can't even do it. And then he goes on to talk.
This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has
smart move, by the way.
No idea what the hell the name of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops.
But then the bet paid off, because she could have said this. I think like later on during the debate, she does like say it, and then she got one wrong or something. I don't have that clip up for you guys, but I wonder if someone was speaking in her ear or someone told her something. But very, very awesome move by Vivek Ramaswamy. So here he is talking about how J6 was an inside job, the 2020 election was stolen, the government lied about 9/11, and the Great Replacement is not a conspiracy theory. This is amazing. You know, this just goes to show you that our message is becoming mainstream. Our message, our ideas are becoming mainstream. Things that I said on the show back in 2015 and 2016, which were considered completely controversial, which, you know, I was banned from many social media platforms for saying. You now have people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, others like this, who are saying these same things. Matt Walsh and so forth, Charlie Kirk, who are now saying these same things. And so, you know, it's kind of funny when you see people who think like, well, if they could just get rid of Vince, well, if we could just get rid of Vince, if we could just get rid of Nick, if we could just get rid of some people like this, that the far right rhetoric will come to an end, right? This rise of the far right and Christian nationalism will come to an end. The thing is, though, you know, you walk around a place like this, you see it in the coffee shops, you hear it in the restaurants, you hear it, you see it in the stores, you hear people talking about these things. People that have never heard of me, that have never heard of Nick, all around the country that are saying these same things, that agree with me on these things. There's nothing that you can do to, especially among the younger generation of conservatives. I know not the younger generation as a whole, but the younger generation of conservatives. There's really nothing that you can do to stop them from becoming what they're going to become. And so we're going to play this other clip here from Vivek Ramaswamy. Before we do, I just want to thank another one of this show's sponsors, Purge Suddenly, from the makers of Died Suddenly, the documentary about the dangerous COVID-19 vaccine, the deadly COVID-19 vaccine. They have Purge Suddenly. And if you've never done a cleanse, I highly suggest it. I've done several of them. I try to do it at least once a year, once or twice a year. It makes you feel better. It makes you have more energy. It makes you feel healthier. I'm going to borrow a line from Dr. Lee Merritt. Cancer, acne, rosacea, MS, and rheumatoid arthritis, 4 diseases in 4 different areas of medicine. What if they can all be treated with parasite medication? And that turns out to be true. So this can prevent serious diseases, and it's all natural stuff. It's all natural stuff. Wormwood, all natural ingredients, non-GMO formula. They have a bunch of different products, so make sure to check them out. PurgeSuddenly.com. It helps the show tremendously. All right, let's get to this other Ramaswamy clip here. Take a look at this now.
With all 3 of my other colleagues on this debate stage. is all three of them have been licking Donald Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job, that the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11?
And also another country's involvement in 9/11. But we're not ready for that yet. Maybe soon. Maybe soon.
That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform.
Basic statement of the government, period.
That the 2020 election was indeed stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment that actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that they knew was false. There's a reason why I'm the only person on the stage who can say these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking him and criticizing him when it's convenient.
Yeah, and look at what Nikki Haley said about Trump back in 2016. Look at what a lot of these people said about Trump back in 2016. Look at what Ben Shapiro said about Trump back in 2016. Okay, He's on. There's videos of him. There are YouTube videos. He did his best to try to purge a lot of that stuff, but it's all still out there. Here we go from Jake Shields. I wish we had a presidential candidate who loved America the way that they love Israel. Nikki Haley says that one of the first things she's going to do in office is change the definition of anti-Semitism and make it more broad. She then calls for a ban on TikTok, not because of all these gay people, these gay influencers and trans influencers on TikTok. She calls for a ban on TikTok because people are, in her words, getting 17% more anti-Semitic after using it. I'm going to play this clip here for you guys, and then we ask, I wonder who her, which lobby pays her the most. I wonder who her puppet masters actually are. Take a look at this clip now.
I made a mistake not including anti-Zionism in the definition of anti-Semitism. If you don't think that Israel has a right to exist, that is anti-Semitic. We will change the definition so that every government, every school has to acknowledge the definition for what it is. We do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok, every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic, more pro-Hamas based on doing that.
Well, I guess I got to watch a lot more TikTok. I guess I got to scroll through TikTok a lot more while I'm in bed trying to fall asleep. Where do you get these numbers from? For every 30 minutes you spend on TikTok, you become 17% more anti-Semitic. Where the fuck are you getting these numbers from? The ADL?
We now know that 50% of adults 18 to 25 think that Hamas was warranted in what they did with Israel. That's a problem. When campuses also don't go and protect when they have these rallies and you've got students that are scared, we need to go to these universities and say, if you're not going to protect these students, if you're not going to acknowledge anti-Semitism, we'll take your tax-exempt status away.
Oh, sorry. I was just scrolling through TikTok for a minute. Yeah, what about what about anti-whiteism? Where was Nikki Haley when this was happening, when it still is happening, and being promoted and being encouraged on college campuses? So that is the destruction of Nikki Haley right there by the great Vivek Ramaswamy. It was an Indian on Indian crime on stage that night, and it was pretty epic. It was pretty good to see. We're gonna remain skeptical about Vivek and try to suss him out a bit, but definitely the guy's definitely growing on me, and so that's what we have in this segment. Make sure to sub on Rumble to get basically daily segments and also catch the live streams. Make sure to support our show, okay? I want to give a big shout out to someone actually right now. Let me just give a big shout out to, and you know who you are, Andrew, for the super chat in our P.O. box. The super chat by mail to our P.O. box came at a really good time. The show has been struggling, and all you have to do is just check out the links in the description below and go to flowcode.com/page/Vincent James to find out different ways you can support the show. Subscribe Star is awesome. $2 a month, $5 a month. You get access to all of the live streams forever, old content, exclusive content. We've got crypto. We've got different links for different crypto, Monero, and so forth. We've got the merch store. If you order something still this week, you will get it in time for Christmas still. So that helps the show. And then also we have My Patriot Supply, preparewithvincent.com for 25-year shelf life dry food supply, water filter systems. We've got the P.O. box in there. Make sure to check it out. Links in the description below. The show needs your support. We're under attack for a reason. Since we've been banned from every mainstream platform that exists, we need your support for the show to survive. You can support by subscribing to my Subscribe Star for $5 a month to get access to exclusive content and more at other tiers. You can also support by using cryptocurrency, our P.O. box, and as always, going to preparewithvincent.com or waterwithvincent.com to get your 25-year shelf life dry food supply or water filter systems. Check out dailyveracity.com/support to find all the links. It helps the show tremendously.